The goal? Convince the Viet Cong fighters that the jungle was haunted by the tortured souls of their dead comrades. Some reports claim it worked, that Viet Cong soldiers abandoned positions, terrified of supernatural retribution. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Psychological warfare walks a razor-thin line between effective strategy and outright cruelty. During the Gulf War in 1991, the U.S. military dropped 29 million leaflets over Iraqi positions. The message was simple: surrender and you'll be treated well. Keep fighting and you'll die. They also broadcasted radio messages in Arabic, describing the overwhelming firepower about to rain down on them. They showed footage of what American airstrikes had done to other Iraqi units: complete obliteration. The result? Over 87,000 Iraqi soldiers surrendered. Some waved the leaflets as white flags. The leaflet campaign is credited with saving thousands of lives on both sides by convincing Iraqi troops that resistance was futile. But not all PSYOP is so benign. In 1983, during the Cold War, NATO conducted Exercise Able Archer. It was a military drill simulating the full release of nuclear weapons against the Soviet Union. What NATO didn't realize was that Soviet intelligence believed it might be real. The Soviets went on high alert. Nuclear bombers were fueled and ready. Missile silos were armed. For a few terrifying days, the world was on the brink of nuclear war. Not because of actual aggression, but because of a training exercise designed to test readiness. The Soviets interpreted the drill as psychological warfare, a way to make them flinch, to show dominance. And they almost launched a preemptive strike in response. This is the danger of psychological warfare. It can spiral out of control. The enemy doesn't always react the way you expect. Now let's talk about the digital age. In 2007, Russia launched a massive cyber attack on Estonia. It wasn't missiles or tanks. It was a coordinated assault on Estonia's digital infrastructure, banks, government websites, media outlets, all taken offline simultaneously. Estonia is one of the most digitally connected nations on Earth, and suddenly, nothing worked. Was it an act of war? Technically, no. No one died, no physical infrastructure was destroyed. But the psychological impact was devastating. Estonian citizens panicked, the government was paralyzed, and the message from Russia was clear: we can shut you down whenever we want. This is 21st century psychological warfare. You don't invade, you don't bomb, you just disrupt. And the fear of what might come next does the rest. In 2016, during the U.S. presidential election, Russian intelligence agencies launched a disinformation campaign designed to sow division, undermine trust in institutions, and polarize the American public. They didn't change vote tallies, they didn't hack voting machines. They just amplified existing tensions, spread conspiracy theories, and weaponized social media algorithms. And it worked. Not because it changed the outcome, that's still debated, but because it made millions of Americans question the legitimacy of their own democracy. That's psychological warfare in its purest form. You don't defeat the enemy, you make them defeat themselves.
It's crude, it's untested, but it's all they have. The drone is deployed under cover of darkness, navigating autonomously toward a predetermined intercept zone. It's painted matte black, radar signature nearly invisible. To Russian systems, it looks like debris, a fishing boat, maybe nothing at all. 40 kilometers off the coast of Crimea, the drone goes into standby mode, waiting. At 0600 hours, Russian Air Command scrambles two Su-30 SM fighters from Saki Air Base. Their mission? Routine patrol, visual reconnaissance, presence operation. The pilots are experienced. They've flown this route 100 times. They have no idea what's waiting below. The Ukrainian drone operator, sitting in a bunker hundreds of miles away, watches a thermal feed. The jets appear as glowing dots on the screen, descending to 12,000 feet for a low pass over the fleet. This is the moment. The operator activates the launch system. The missile ignites, a white-hot plume of fire erupting from the deck of the tiny drone. It climbs vertically, heat-seeking, locked onto the infrared signature of the Su-30's twin engines. The Russian pilot has 3 seconds to react. He sees the launch trail. His threat warning system screams. He banks hard, dumps flares, tries to dive away from the missile. But he's too low, too slow, too surprised. The missile impacts the starboard engine. The explosion is catastrophic. $50 million of Russian engineering disintegrates in a fireball. The jet spirals, uncontrollable, and slams into the Black Sea at terminal velocity. The second pilot breaks formation, climbs to safety, and reports the impossible. A surface vessel just shot us down. Back at Russian Naval Command, there's confusion, denial. How? There are no Ukrainian ships in that area, no surface-to-air systems. The radar showed nothing. But the evidence is undeniable. Satellite imagery confirms it. Western intelligence confirms it. Even Russian channels, later, reluctantly confirm it. A drone, a $500 drone, just redefined modern warfare. The kill sends shockwaves through military establishments worldwide. In Moscow, there's panic. If a cheap Ukrainian drone can down a fighter jet, what else is vulnerable? Helicopters, bombers, transport planes. Russia immediately changes patrol protocols. Jets now fly higher, faster, further from the coast, but the psychological damage is done. In Kyiv, there's celebration, but also calculation. This isn't just a propaganda victory, it's a strategic breakthrough. Ukraine now has a weapon that forces Russia to rethink air superiority over the Black Sea. And in Washington, London, Beijing, and every defense ministry on Earth, analysts are rewriting doctrine.
Because here's the thing, this isn't about one lucky shot. It's about asymmetry. It's about the fundamental shift happening in warfare right now. For a century, military power was measured in tonnage. Aircraft carriers, tanks, bombers. The side with the bigger, more expensive weapons won. But that equation is breaking. A Ukrainian sea drone costs $500 to $5,000 to build. A Russian Su-30 costs $50 million. That's a 10,000 to 1 cost ratio. Ukraine can lose 100 drones and still come out ahead if they down one jet. And it's not just Ukraine. Look at Yemen's Houthis using drones against U.S. Navy destroyers. Look at Azeri drones destroying Armenian armor. Look at Taiwan preparing drone swarms to counter a Chinese invasion. The age of the cheap, mass-produced killer drone has arrived, and it's terrifying. So what does this mean for the future? It means that the next war won't be won by whoever has the most advanced technology. It'll be won by whoever can adapt fastest, innovate cheapest, and think asymmetrically. It means that a teenager with a laptop in Kyiv can control a weapon system that takes down a fighter jet flown by a veteran Russian pilot. It means that the rules, written in blood over 2 world wars, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, are being rewritten in real time, in the Black Sea, by engineers who learned their trade on YouTube. The November 2024 shootdown wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a historical punctuation mark, The moment when the old guard realized that the future of warfare isn't going to look anything like the past. And somewhere, right now, in a bunker or a basement or a garage, someone is building the next drone, the next improvised weapon, the next asymmetric nightmare. Because if a $500 drone can kill a $50 million jet, then everything is vulnerable. And that should keep us all awake at night.